What's the secret to weight loss with hypnosis? I'm Dave Ruby from Work Hypnosis, and the secret to weight loss is that there is no secret. However, there are general principles and practices and strategies that can help you to lose weight and get the results you want, and hypnosis can be a big part of that. However, there really is no secret anymore. People who actually work in the nutrition and fashion industry and weight loss and bodybuilding, they've actually figured this stuff out quite a while ago. So why am I making this video, and why am I making it now? So I wanted to actually provide insights I found into weight management from an evidence-based approach based on what I've read and my own personal experiences and that of clients, and how hypnosis can help. As far as why now, over the last year, actually over several months starting last year, I dropped nearly 40 pounds of body fat. So if you look at my older videos, I look a lot slimmer now. And I wanted to kind of reflect on a lot of stuff. I wanted to reflect on what's worked and what hasn't, because some things worked really well for me and have worked for others, while some things did not. And I noticed that in some of my clients, and as well as other hypnotists. There are hypnotists who I found were really good at hypnosis, really good trainers, really good hypnotists, and really good subjects, and they weren't having the results that maybe their clients were. And I was kind of curious why that was, and I think I've kind of figured out why that is. I also wanted to debunk myths. There's really no secret to this. There's no code to crack. There's a lot of fluff out there, but there's also a lot of stuff that's really good. So again, there are proven principles and practices. There's a lot of research that actually backs what works, and there's a lot of real-life results that actually back that up. So how do we navigate this, and how might it work for you? That's probably the biggest takeaway for any of you watching this. And I kind of wanted to break it down into two categories. What I found is with myself and with others, there tend to be two basic categories that work. And hypnosis can work in a couple different ways, generally speaking. I will note that every person and every situation is a bit unique, but there are some generalities that tend to work. So the first category is hypnosis just works. Often just suggestions to eat appropriately, make right decisions, or to combat or resolve whatever has kept you from doing what you need to do, that can be enough. That one's the more organic way, and that absolutely can work. There are people that do that and that alone, and it works wonderfully. The second broad category is programmed adherence. So essentially you have a more structured plan, diet, nutrition, whatever components you need to or will help you to get where you want to go. And hypnosis helps you follow that plan. The program gives you a blueprint. Hypnosis helps you to do what you need to do. Now ultimately, when either of those are working, they kind of start looking the same way. Whether you track your calories and macros and diet and exercise, or if you just naturally eat what you know you're supposed to, when you're on the right track, those can kind of start looking a lot alike. And again, they both work. I've had evidence they both work, and there are people that can do either or. I will say whatever plan you choose, the laws of thermodynamics still apply. Essentially, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another. In other words, if you want to lose body fat or lose weight, you simply have to burn more calories than you take in, period. That ultimately holds true regardless of the diet or exercise plan you're going for. However, certain plans are going to be more beneficial than others. So certain diets have more pros or cons. They can affect things like satiety, muscle growth and maintenance, gym performance. Also things like water and weight retention can be a big factor. Energy flux, how much energy you add to it versus how much food you cut out, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of variables that can make one plan more desirable, but ultimately, as long as you burn more than you take in, you will lose weight. Granted, protein, exercise, all those things can kind of make a difference. So going back to those categories, the first category, hypnosis just naturally changes your eating habits. That's how most people think about hypnosis for weight loss, and that can work really, really well. That can work really good if you know how to eat. It can also work great if you have certain factors that are kind of sabotaging your goals. If you are stressed at work and you go home and eat a bag of potato chips or junk food or just eat more than you're supposed to, hypnosis is great for that. It's also useful for emotional eating or neutralizing triggers that lead to like poor eating habits. It can also be useful if the weight serves a purpose. So if there's some kind of like stress involved, or if you're holding on to weight because it's preventing unwanted advances or it's some kind of emotional armor, hypnosis on its own is just suggestion, and resolution of those things can work great. The second category works a little bit differently. Program adherence is important, or it can be very useful. Most people don't really know how to eat, especially in regards to nutrition, macronutrients, how many calories they actually need. Also, people tend to overestimate the calories burned and underestimate the caloric consumption in food. So if you think you're eating right, but you're actually eating more than you should be, precision can count, and that can be very, very useful. Also, having a program is great because people often want to just cut as much as they possibly can and lose weight as quickly as they can, and that's a great way to crash and burn. So you want something sustainable, and a program could help you to have a more sane approach to weight loss. Also, I enjoy working with athletes, so if you're an athlete or a lifter, your nutritional needs may differ. So if you're more active or involved in sports or lifting or trying to gain muscle or maintain muscle while you lose body fat, a program that actually meets your needs and is specialized to you and your specific needs, that can be helpful. Also for adjusting as you lose body fat and as you try and keep your performance up or maintain as much muscle mass, that's useful as well. So how does hypnosis work to help you lose weight? I noticed a few things that seem to kind of cover most of the general bases. So what I've noticed are these essential 4 points. So first, they can resolve triggers. What's triggering you to eat in a way that's not optimal for your goals and your body? It can also change your mindset toward food and exercise. If you don't think that you can do it, or if you think that healthy food's not enjoyable, you hate exercise, you're not sure when to eat, or you have different values around food, you think food's bad for you, you think that you can only eat certain types of food and you don't want to, hypnosis is great for that. It can also remove mental barriers around your goals and around eating how you should be. You don't think you can do it. You don't think you can lose weight. I'm not the kind of person who does this. Any kind of mental blocks like that, hypnosis is great for changing. It can also change your mindset around you and your body. A lot of people don't think of themselves as being lean and healthy. They think of themselves in derogatory terms. And if you picture yourself that way, or tell yourself stories in your mind that say you can't do it, hypnosis can change that so you start to believe it, or at least they start to act in a way and view yourself in a way where you start to do it. Again, there are basically 2 different paths. As I mentioned before, Path A, arguably, you just naturally eat how you should be eating, and hypnosis helps you to kind of do what you know you should be doing. Path B is you have some kind of program or work with someone who gives you a plan and you follow it. Hypnosis helps you to do what the program says. That way it's very precise, you're not guessing, you're actually doing what someone else has said is the right path for you based on this program, based on your needs and your goals. So why does this matter? This matters because weight loss can be hard. I know I struggled for years trying to lose body weight, lose body fat, and it wasn't working for me. And I think there's a misconception that hypnosis only works in one way. It only works by, sleep, and you go into trance and you get suggestions to lose weight, and then you just magically do it. And for some people, it can work that way. It can be very magical in that regard. But that's not the only way that can work, and how it works for you may be different. I also noticed that there are hypnotists that are very good at this, very good at hypnosis, very good with working with clients, very good trainers, and some of them struggled as well. And they may not have had the proper roadmap, or maybe like me, they needed something beyond just suggestion, just resolution of body image or whatever. They need something more precise, and that's totally fine. I will say some clients work very well with straightforward suggestions. That can happen right away or after some conditioning responses. There can also be layers to issues as well. Sometimes you get through one layer and there may be other things that are underlying it. So it may be a several layer approach. It may be more simple than that. Each person's kind of different. While some people respond to just suggestion alone, again, some don't. And I was in the second group. Suggestion, hypnosis, and changing my mental mindset, that was useful, but it did not work on its own for me, and I'll get to that in a bit. Why? So for some people, having a program or being precise can make all the difference. Sometimes one goes hand in hand with the other. I will say how it worked for me was as such. Hypnosis really helped with the mind game and the mental side of things very, very well. I was able to change my belief system. I was able to change how I viewed food. Food was something I did to fuel what I was doing. It fueled my workouts. It fueled nutrition. It was something different than what it had been in the past. And that was very useful. So that did make a big difference. But on its own, that wasn't quite enough. So what worked for me ultimately was to have a formal plan that helped give me a blueprint so I knew exactly what to eat, when to eat it. I could be very precise. So it was a combination, for me at least, a combination of the mental side of things was very important. That made things move very, very smoothly. I lost a good amount of weight very fast. And then the precision allowed me to follow a plan, so I did what was sustainable, what was healthy. I was able to start getting results and then monitor results, know it was working, and then change it whenever things needed to be changed. I'll say that if you want a food, want pizza or a beer, or you want to have some kind of, I don't call them cheat food, but you want some certain types of food, with precision that works great because you just factor it in. It's all about finding what works for you and also making sure you're eating within certain criteria. So if I ever went over calories, that was fine too, because it was about learning that whole learning process. And then you factor that into future meal plannings, into your future eating. Basically it kind of led you to learn how to eat. It's all about consistency. Ultimately, what you do is kind of what you do. You do it consistently, you maintain the proper program, you adjust it as needed, and you get to where you need to go. So it was very helpful for that reason alone. So ultimately, what's the point? The point of this video is there's not one way to do things. There's no one right answer. I think there are certain principles and certain strategies that tend to work. Then it's within that, finding what works for you, being consistent and kind of modifying as your results change, as your needs change over time. I will say for anyone who's interested in this, if you're interested in working with a nutritionist, I will actually discount your program by 25%, just because it does kind of guarantee that you know exactly what to do, and it hedges our bets to make sure you're going to get the best results possible. And then hypnosis can help with everything else. Not everyone will need a nutritionist. If you kind of know what you're doing, hypnosis on its own can work really well. It really depends on you, essentially. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, ask in the comment section of the video, or you can email me at info@workwellhypnosis.com. And if you're ready to get started, shoot me an email. Send me a text or an email at info@workwellhypnosis, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks. Have a great one.